right, so for our last recipe, this was something that I challenged Jeremy to make because I love it. We're calling it the ultimate hot chocolate. So it's really cold outside, really great way to warm up in this weather. And whether you're looking for a high calorie or low calorie treat, something like a hot chocolate is a great way to indulge your sweet tooth, but also to stay hydrated. And also you could benefit or enjoy those benefits of the cocoa powder.
Yes. So I don't know how much of a challenge it was in terms of difficulty because we did want to make it simple. I think Stephanie just wanted me to make hot chocolate, to be honest. But definitely perfect for the weather, for this time of year. And it is pretty simple to make. And you can kind of change it and take it into whatever direction you want. We're adding a little bit of some spice to it, which is a little bit different. But you can definitely make this yours. And I love the fact that, yes, it does count as fluids, as hydration.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be water. So if I could have 8 cups of hot chocolate a day, maybe Stephanie would be mad, but it does count as a fluid, right?
It does.
So that's good.
So 1 cup.
Yes. All right, so what we want to start off with is whatever dairy you are using. You can use milk, you can use, if you want to go more calories, you can use cream. So you can kind of, again, depending on your calorie needs, you can take into whatever direction you want.
You can use water, you could use an almond milk, right, that has lower calories.
Yeah. Coconut milk as well if you want to go non-dairy but more calories. So the idea is you do want to warm it up just until it starts to simmer. And
so which one did you use?
I just used regular milk, but
perfect.
I did one with almond milk as well, just to sort of test the different versions, and they both came out really good. So with the regular milk, you just want to get it nice and warm till it's simmering, and I've added dates to this as well. So instead of sugar, we're going to actually be sweetening it with the dates.
It's a great idea.
The dates is also going to give it some really, really nice texture, nice little rich texture. So you do not want to boil it. That's the only do not I will give you for this, is don't boil it. Otherwise, depending on what you're using, it might split or it'll definitely burn on the bottom of your pan. That's probably the most difficult thing to clean off the bottom of the pan is burnt milk. So just until it simmers, just like this, and the dates are nice and soft at this point. So I'm going to add them to a blender. Or if you have a hand blender, you can bring it right to the pot. And then to this, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of natural cocoa powder. Yes.
So there's a difference. So the cocoa powder comes from your cacao beans. And lots of research indicates that it's actually the cocoa powder that has those flavonoids, or the flavonols, which is a type of antioxidant. And there's research showing that really they serve as have anti-inflammatory properties. They can reduce cholesterol levels, and really beneficial for heart health as well. So you do want to make sure that you're getting, just having like milk chocolate doesn't have that amount of the flavonols that you want. The research is really looking at the cocoa powder. If you are using dark chocolate, then it's 70% because it's the cocoa powder that's making that.
Yeah. There's also not every cocoa powder is made the same. So you will often find 2 different types. There's the Dutch processed cocoa powder, and then there's the non-Dutch, which is usually labeled as natural cocoa powder.
And that's the one you want to use, so the non-Dutch, because that's the one where the those antioxidant properties, the flavonols, have been kept. Whereas in the other method, they're not as potent and they're not as high.
Yeah. So the more common one that you probably will see is the Dutch process. And not to get too scientific, but just so you know, because it does affect baking, for example, it is alkanized. I'm not saying that right, but alkanized? Alkanized.
Alkalinized.
Alkalinized. Anyways, so it becomes more on the alkaline side of the scale versus the acidic side of the scale. So if you're using it in baking, for example, and you need to activate like baking soda, you usually need an acid. So sometimes that's added to it.
But the recipe will indicate. So
recipe will indicate that. But with this, it says natural. It has not been. So the taste tends to be a little bit more on the bitter side, a little bit closer to what cocoa should taste like. Sometimes the color is a little bit different as well. I find that the natural one tends to be a little bit lighter, and the Dutch process one tends to be a little bit darker. So again, just try to look for it, see what it says. I know that we're not paid by Hershey's, but I know that Hershey's does make the natural cocoa powder. And then some of the other, like the fries, some of the other ones are usually Dutch process. So
just take
a little bit better, yeah.
Attention.
Close cocoa powder in. Then we're gonna add some 70% dark chocolate.
Yes.
And that's gonna go in. And I just grated that. You can just like even chop it up a little bit. If it's whole, it might take a longer time to melt. And then we're gonna add, so our spice, we're actually gonna add some cardamom. So cardamom is, you usually see them in the green pods in its whole form, and then when you crack them open, you have this really, really nice spice. And ground, you can add it to this. It goes really, really well with chocolate. Otherwise, cinnamon, really well with chocolate. Chili, you may have heard, really well with chocolate. So we're gonna add a little bit of this, and this just sort of changes it up a little bit. It's a small amount. And a little pinch of salt, which might sound weird, but it actually does pick up a lot of that chocolate flavor, just a little pinch.
And I guess it
inside.
also activates the sweetness from the dates.
It will make things taste a little bit sweeter too, yeah, because it sort of heightens all the flavors for sure. All right, and that's about it. So we're gonna blend this up. It is a hot liquid. So again, reminder, anytime you blend hot liquid, take the top off and just sort of pin it in so that the steam can escape, and then put a dish towel over top. Stephanie's slowly moving away. So yes, plug it in, that's also important. And all right, so just until the dates sort of puree. Because the dates have been soaking in the warm milk, it won't take much time at all. They're pretty soft at that point. And this hot chocolate is ready. So I was making this morning, and everyone working here came in, detoured into the kitchen.
Can you put marshmallows on it?
You can put marshmallows.
Whatever you want.
You can put whatever you want. I'm going to add. Did someone say more chocolate? Like as if like that's a bad thing. Absolutely right.
In balance, in moderation. Yes. So this is also, if you think about, like, we always like to, sometimes people have a sweet tooth, right? So this is an option to have, because again, you're also getting those antioxidant properties, there's anti-inflammatory properties.
And that is our ultimate hot chocolate.
Yes.
Yes.